What up, people? What up? What up? What up? I got to be to work in a little bit, but I had to get on before I went to work, bro. I had to go live a little bit because this shit is crazy. I got some videos for you. It's basically straight into content. Shit is happening in the world today that's fucking just out of character. I had no intentions of going live before I went to work, but now I'm live because of the shit that's coming out. So now Trump is being subpoenaed for hundreds of millions of dollars that he has shifted and siphoned offshores. Not only are they fucking looking for that, he's also in trouble because some of the docs are revealing the fact that he is extremely sick beyond the fact that he should even be president. Another thing that's going is everywhere he's being fucking booed. It's becoming too much of a risk to even travel with him. More of his dark secrets is coming out, and the world is boycotting us. That's crazy. First and foremost, Salaikum Assalam. Good morning, Truth Lady. Good morning. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're just gonna get straight into the content, bro. It's just this shit is crazy. We're gonna get straight into the content, and we're gonna see what's popping off real quick. Like I said, I gotta be to work at 2:30, so I ain't gonna be on long. I'm just gonna play some content while I roll up, and y'all can see for yourselves. This shit is crazy, bro. Trump is really on some bullshit right now. No bullshit.
Now a local tax expert will do your taxes for $150 all in.
It seems that Trump's plan for Venezuela is even more corrupt than you could imagine. I mean, it was bad enough that we took military strikes in the Caribbean on boats despite any domestic or international basis, that we arrested Maduro apparently because he was involved in the cartel business, but Trump and others were literally saying it was because of the oil. Well, now it turns out that oil that Trump says that we will control indefinitely, well, he plans on putting it into an offshore bank account, making it untouchable, untraceable, and unaccountable by the American people. He put out an executive order saying that that money cannot be touched by any creditors of Venezuela. He alone plans on directing the sale of hundreds of millions of dollars of Venezuelan oil. As we know, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. This is Dina Dahl from the Midas Touch Network. Let's get into this. Now, Trump made some big deals that make this money an equivalent of almost a slush fund for him. Two moves he made. One was putting forward this executive order, making these funds basically.
So y'all hear what she's saying, right? So the whole point is he had no right taking all this money from this oil that he got from Venezuela and siphoning it off to offshore accounts. Like, how are we supposed to track what's going on with that money? Who the fuck gave him permission to do that?
Untouchable from any legal claims. Now, private companies such as oil companies invested, as we know, hundreds of millions of dollars in Venezuela and still have claims to it. We also know China and Russia have claims to it. Well, Trump in his executive order basically said that any legal claims to this Venezuelan money is null and void. He did this, he says, because he basically wants a clean slate. He said in front of the oil companies recently that basically it was their fault for investing at the time, and this is why their claims should go away. Take a listen.
We're going to start with an even plate, though. We're not going to look at what people lost in the past because that was their fault. That was a different president. We're gonna make a lot of money, but we're not going to go back.
Not only he's just going to steal this oil, he's going to fuck everybody over that had money owed to them. This is crazy, yo. This is wild, bro. This president is really on some fuckboy shit.
You left a lot of money behind, I guess, huh? What number?
12 billion.
How much?
12 billion.
Well, good write-off.
It's already been written off.
It's been written.
$12 billion, and he laughs at them and tells them it's a good write-off. Oh my God, I can't really get into it. Like I said, I got to be to work at 2:30. So I'm gonna let this play through, and I want to get to all these videos before I leave.
All right, thank you. You'll make it back one way or the other. You're all going to do very well.
Now, usually, I don't necessarily feel sympathetic for oil companies, especially the fact that they donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Trump campaign, and he's basically returning the favor by seizing this Venezuelan oil. But the problem with shielding this money from any legitimate creditor claims in United States court system is that Trump himself can decide which oil company he wants to give the money to. So let's say Exxon decides that they want to curry favor with Trump because now they know he controls whether or not they will essentially get any of their investment back rather than a judge. What do you think that company will do or be willing to give or be willing to look away from?
That is unfucking right now. So y'all understanding what she's saying. Basically, Trump is strong-arming the motherfucking oil companies. He's robbing them. Let alone this oil doesn't even belong to these companies he's about to rob. It belongs to foreign fucking entities too, to top that off too. This is fucking crazy.
This day, you have to put this in context with what is happening with ICE in the streets. And we see how hard it is for CEOs and companies to stand up for Trump. This has just made it harder because instead of judges deciding which creditor claims should and should not get paid, Trump will decide which oil deals will get made and which oil companies will be made whole as a result of those deals. And you don't have to look much farther than the first deal that was made this week.
Wow.
A $250 million deal was made to one of Trump's mega donors. John Edison with Vital secured the $250 million deal. Now, he was a donor to Trump in the tune of millions of dollars. This is the new precedent for Trump, the quid pro quo, that I'm going to make sure I handle the sales of Venezuelan oil and determine which companies will get them. And we know that's going to be determined by who will give him money, him or his family money.
I'm not going to finish this video off. I want to get to the next one because, like I said, I got limited time. But we all saw this. We all spoke about this. We all saw this happening, people. None of us should be shocked. We knew this is what the fuck he was going to do because he said this is what he was going to do. So, I mean, it's in his fucking, what's it called again, baby? The Project 2025. The only thing is that when he thinks he's about to complete it, he's going to get a fucking rude awakening because he's going to go to jail. They're going to kick him out the White House jail. He don't understand. Shit's about to backfire on him big time. Shit is definitely about to backfire on him. Then, aside from that, I also have, I don't care about his health. If he fucking croaks, he croaks. Oh, well. Fuck him. I don't care. The doctors are telling the truth. It says he was booed at multiple stadiums. He was trying to go to different sporting events, and they were booing him to the point that they asked him to leave. He's been asked to leave. Yes, Truth Lady, impeach him. Yes, he needs to be impeached. But this is, I will definitely show this. More of Trump's dark secret and his past is showing up. Let's show this.
Dominate the Rift with Opera GX. Install any.
Donald Trump is panicking as his dark past continues to surface. Donald Trump thinks that if he just goes radio silent, if Lara Trump, his daughter-in-law, starts posting photos of Donald Trump with their granddaughter on the golf course, or if Donald Trump just starts posting about invading Greenland and now he's going back to talking about invading Canada, maybe we'll all just forget about Donald Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files. We are not forgetting. Let's be crystal clear. Now, one of the things that we're learning as well is that the Trump regime is blaming the Epstein files on why their Department of Justice is not prepared in numerous other federal criminal cases, including the Maduro case, or including a case involving a major sex trafficking charge of these Florida real estate brothers that are supposed to go to trial soon. And the DOJ in New York, Southern District of New York, is one of the main hubs where the Epstein files are supposed to be being reviewed at. They claim there's 200 lawyers who are now reviewing it. The DOJ goes to the federal judge overseeing the Maduro case and the federal judge overseeing this sex trafficking trial that's about to take place. And the DOJ saying, we're not prepared. All of our lawyers are working on reviewing the Epstein files. So, Judge, we can't handle these trials at the DOJ. And the federal judge is like, you're the federal prosecutorial office. You're the SDNY. You don't have the resources to be able to handle other cases because everyone's working on the Epstein files and the review. Well, what happened to the 1,000 FBI agents who were purportedly reviewing the Epstein files back in late February and March? I mean, do we all remember back in February when there was the DOJ posted, phase 1 is done. Attorney General Pam Bondi releases first phase of declassified Epstein files. February 27th, 2025. Today, Attorney General Bondi, in conjunction with the FBI, declassified and publicly released files relating to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his sexual exploitation of over 250 underage girls. That was dated February 27, 2005. This is what Bondi said then. The DOJ is following through on Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Epstein and his co-conspirators. The first phase of files released today sheds light on Epstein's extensive network and begins to provide the public with long overdue accountability. Then Kash Patel said, the FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Hat tip, by the way, to Bloomberg, their great reporter Jason Leopold. Remember, he did public records requests, FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests, where he identified that there were 1,934 FBI agents and other lawyers who were working on the review from March to May of 2025, maybe even June. 1,000 people were working on the Epstein files from that period, March, April, May, June. So what, 4 or 5 months? What were they doing? What were those individuals doing then for those months? Remember, they billed tens of thousands of overtime hours that the taxpayers, had to pay.
I know what they were doing. They were trying to delete shit. They were using Sharpies to cover shit. Idiots. Busy starting wars unnecessarily. Picking on brown people. That's what they were doing.
For. So what were they doing now that now they claim the DOJ is unprepared for all of these cases? A few data points I want to bring out. We reported over the weekend, and Midas Touch was the first to get this scoop, that the DOJ is now fighting Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna's efforts to appoint an independent monitor. Remember how Massie and Khanna requested that Judge Engelmeyer, the federal judge in the Ghislaine Maxwell criminal case, appoint an independent monitor or special master in order to ensure there was an independent process for releasing the Epstein files, because Massie and Khanna argued that the DOJ cannot be trusted at all. Well, on Friday night, late filing, last Friday, the DOJ said, Massie and Khanna do not have standing to even make this request, even though they weren't saying they're parties. They're saying they're amici. They filed an amicus brief. They're making a recommendation to the court. Okay. And then the DOJ argued that the Epstein Transparency Act provides no private cause of action, so that no court at all can enforce the Epstein Transparency Act, that no courts have any right at all. So you're saying that the Epstein Transparency Act does not allow transparency. That's what the Trump regime argued to Judge Engelmeyer on Friday. Massie and Khanna are going to be responding on Tuesday, is the deadline for their response. And we'll keep you posted on what they say. But that's the Trump's argument. No court can enforce the Epstein Transparency Act because Congress, this is what the DOJ argues, Congress did not evince any intent to allow an enforcement mechanism.
Get the fuck out of here.
Just think about that's what the DOJ's arguing.
I'm working on my video upload for tomorrow's autism and living with undiagnosed dysphoria. Oh, definitely. I'll come through and check that out. Definitely. Make sure you I'll have my notifications up and running for you. Definitely, Gemma. Yeah, this dude is tripping right now. I don't even want to watch this no more neither. Because it's fucking ridiculous to what we're basically saying. His past is coming out. No matter what he does, his dark past is coming out, bro. And that's what he don't want to fucking understand. Everything that he's done is coming out to light, man. This shit is crazy. But this is what I really want to play. The fucking world is boycotting us now, bro. Yeah, this shit is crazy. This was more important because this goes to show the state of mind that the world is with us right now. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button.
Furious world leaders are beginning their retaliation against Donald Trump and his despicable regime for his threats to invade Greenland. You had the top ambassadors from Europe holding a secret meeting over the weekend where they discussed what they view as the nuclear option before a military incursion is actually necessary. They refer to it as a trade bazooka, using the most powerful lever of the European Union to basically shut down trade with the United States if it comes to it. One measure before an actual military fight with the United States, which Europe is now preparing for.
Yeah, it's crazy, Gemma. This Greenland shit ain't going away, man. He don't seem to understand. No matter what he do, we still want the Epstein file. So what is it? After he fucks up Greenland, we supposed to say, okay, we don't want the Epstein file no more. Now get the fuck out of here. Go ahead. Let him go ahead and start a war. They're going to fucking bomb this country. They're going to bomb us, man. He don't understand. He's fucking around. Yeah, why do you think he's building a fucking bunker, that piece of shit? Fucking with people for no reason. Let me like this shit, man.
Not back down. This as Donald Trump now turns his eye yet again to focus on Canada. And he's been telling everybody around him that he wants Canada, that Canada needs to be the 51st state. And he continues to mention this over and over again, as Kristen Welker reported earlier yesterday morning.
Donald Trump, you're a fucking retard. Once again, because we sick of you fucking disrespecting us, okay? The 51st state of America is fucking Puerto Rico, man. The fuck is wrong with you? Stop disrespecting the Puerto Rican people, man.
Donald Trump, and this is regime media, so it's coming from Trump, folks. Donald Trump is increasingly ramping up his focus to target Canada. Donald Trump saying Canada is too vulnerable to U.S. adversaries and something needs to be done in Canada. Well, Prime Minister Carney has a message for you. He's considering deploying more troops to Greenland right now. And also Prime Minister Carney completed his trip to China, where he and Xi Jinping came up with a $1 trillion strategic trade alliance. Those electric vehicles from China are about to start pouring in to Canada, which will deliver a crushing blow to the United States auto industry. And also,
wasn't he just preaching? Yo, these playing. Hey, yo, Truth Lady, I'm glad you in here with me, mama. Are you seeing this? He just killed the motherfucking auto industry. He just killed every American-made car right now. Goodbye, Ford. Goodbye, Chevy. Goodbye, who else? Goodbye, GMC. Goodbye, who else? Who else? There's more. Who else? GMC, Ford, Chevy. Who else is American made? That's it? Damn. Suburban. Who's that? Chevy Suburban. Oh, my God. Na, 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. This shit is crazy. He just killed the fucking auto industry. But then again, I don't care. I got a Honda. That's crazy. This is fucking crazy, yo. Y'all voted for this, man. Let me keep going. His time is
China is going to start buying more liquefied natural gas from Canada, as well as more Canadian canola and more Canadian products in general. And by the way, a recent poll that just came out from China talks about that the boycott of certain goods and services and products from the United States, just take booze, for example, 73 to 75% of Canadians now are boycotting American products, giving the appropriate middle finger to Donald Trump and his despicable regime. And by the way, don't you just love it when you have state regime media hosts on Fox like Laura Ingraham and others whining, "You're going to crush our industry"? This is what Laura Ingraham posted. "Canada's trying to destroy the North American auto industry." No, they're not. They're trying to diversify trade partnerships.
Right.
It's Donald Trump who destroyed the North American auto industry. State regime, media host, propagandist, Laura Ingraham. And by the way, over the past 24, 48 hours, $7 million in heroin was found on a truck trying to cross into Canada from the U.S. Yeah, it's the U.S. sending more drugs into Canada than the other way around in the U.S.
Whoa, I'm soaking over that one. Pause that. Oh shit! Did y'all hear that? I need to repeat. I gotta replay that. I gotta replay that.
The way, over the past 24, 48 hours, $7 million in heroin was found on a truck trying to cross into Canada from the U.S. Yeah, it's the U.S. sending more drugs into Canada than the other way around, and the U.S. sending weapons into Canada and Mexico as well. I want to talk more about the bazooka trade option that Europe is talking about. I want to talk about additional emergency meetings that are going to be held at the highest levels of Europe. But I do want to share this photo with you right here. The coffins of Danish soldiers killed in Afghanistan in 2007, serving in a NATO mission launched after America invoked Article 5 following the 9/11 attacks. Hat tip Molly Plufkins for posting this right here. Denmark has lost more
people. If you don't know what that means, invoking Article 5, basically the United States forced Denmark and Greenland and Canada to forcefully join this war to help us out. That's what that means. So these motherfuckers were on the front line. This is horrible, yo.
Soldiers per capita than any country in the world after the United States invoked Article 5 after 9/11. The U.S. is the only person who's invoked Article 5. Our allies in Canada.
Truth Lady says, do you be seeing your mentions on my YouTube wall? Probably not. I gotta click on your thing. I'll check it out to see, but I probably haven't seen it. I have everything linked up to let me know when anybody posts anything and stuff. Maybe I don't have it done correctly or something.
Canada and Europe and others rushed to our defense, especially Denmark, who lost more of its citizens than any country. All right. Let's get into it a little bit more right here. Take a look right here. Orla Jelsin, who lives in Nuuk in Greenland after those massive protests this weekend against Donald Trump and his regime. Orla posts the following photo of some of the Danish troops who are now involved in military operations and practicing for a potential United States invasion. Soldiers at a shooting range in Greenland. Shortly after the Danish army soldiers arrived in Greenland, they headed directly to the shooting range. Here, they had to zero in their weapons and get their first lessons on how to handle their weapons in freezing temperatures, wind, and snow. The soldiers will be in Greenland as part of the Arctic Endurance Exercise, which will focus on defending the northern flank. A number of NATO partners have also participated in this as well. Let's take a look at a statement that was issued from Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. As members of NATO, we are committed to strengthening Arctic security as a shared transatlantic interest. The pre-coordinated Danish exercise, Arctic Endurance, conducted with allies, responds to this necessity. It poses no threat to anyone. We stand in full solidarity with the Kingdom of Denmark and the people of Greenland. Building on the process begun last week, we stand ready to engage in dialogue based on the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity that we stand firmly behind. Now, you know, Donald Trump has threatened any country or support Donald Trump's invasion of Greenland. He says 10% Feb 1, and then starting in June, another 25% tariff. And here's the joint statement says,
Don't worry, one day I won't be able to do it no more.
tariff threats undermine transatlantic relations and risk a dangerous downward spiral. We continue to stand united and coordinated in our response. We are committed to upholding our sovereignty now. As the United States threatens tariffs here, tariffs there, you have Europe entering into one of the biggest free trade agreements in recent history with the Mercosur countries in South America. Brazil, Argentina, and other 700 million consumers will be part of this free trade agreement. And again, we're seeing the rest of the world expand their free trade agreements while Donald Trump wakes up in the morning, threatens to invade Greenland, threatens to invade Canada, 15% tariffs, 20% tariffs. The behavior by the Trump regime is utterly absurd. Trade bazooka. What's the trade bazooka? The European Union mulling a trade bazooka as Donald Trump's Greenland threats continue. European Union ambassadors reached a broad agreement on January 18th that they must intensify efforts against Donald Trump and his regime. They either accelerate their trade war or they fear they will go to a real war, and they are prepared to do both. French President Emmanuel Macron
I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. Somebody's gonna take Trump out. I'm telling you, somebody's gonna take this man out, bro. This man is invoking too many problems, too many. It's just getting out of hand, bro. This is getting out of hand, bro. For real. It's just like this don't make no fucking sense. He's really out here wigging the fuck out, bro. He's out here tripping. He's doing a lot of unnecessary shit. Causing problems with people we don't need to be causing problems with. I don't understand this shit, bro. I don't understand how the fuck they're allowing him to get away with this shit, bro. Like at some point, man, enough is enough, man. He needs to be fucking truly impeached. He needs to be removed, man. They need to get this Article 25 going like now. Let's get this motherfucker up out of here, bro. He's doing too much. Come on, man. It's Martin Luther King Day and we doing all kind of fuckboy shit. Come on, man. That's not cool. Look, I don't even know what happened. In a matter of seconds, something else came out that he did. What the fuck he did now?
Donald Trump is absolutely losing it this morning on Martin Luther King Day. No Martin Luther King proclamation, by the way, from Donald, but instead a different type of proclamation. We're learning that he sent a text message to the Norwegian Prime Minister threatening Norway for not supporting the United States invasion of Greenland. This is real. What? It is so utterly insane, even for Donald Trump, that people were like, can you please verify this? Well, we've received verification from the Norwegian Prime Minister, from Finland's Prime Minister. This is absolutely real. Here's what Donald Trump wrote. Dear Jonas, that's the Prime Minister of Norway, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely—
What wars? Can someone please tell me what fucking wars did he stop? Charlene, what wars are he talking about? What fucking wars? What you stopped? The McDonald's versus Burger King war? Wendy's versus fucking Hardee's? What war are you talking about, bro? This nigga's tripping. The ice cream wars? What are we talking about? Avengers Endgame? What is he talking? What wars?
Of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. So Donald Trump sent that in a text message to the Prime Minister of Norway. And then Donald Trump also wrote to all of the European ambassadors, and he had his National Security Committee send this to all the European ambassadors and say, "Dear Ambassador, President Trump has asked the following message shared with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store be forwarded to," then it has their name and their government's name right there. Now, again, as Donald Trump says, first off, like, why are you attacking Norway for the Nobel Peace Prize? The Nobel Peace Prize is an independent committee that happens to be in Norway. And then everything that Donald Trump says is just like absolutely false. And then he's going to say, well, we're doing this to stop Russia. Well, this morning, again, on Martin Luther King Day, where Donald Trump did not issue any proclamation recognizing Martin Luther King's accomplishments or anything about today's holiday. It's the first time in 40 plus years where a president did not acknowledge the day. Here is what Donald Trump instead did do a proclamation. Donald Trump invited the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, and the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, to join his so-called Board of Peace to oversee Gaza and other areas. So what Donald Trump is doing is he's saying, if you give Donald Trump $1 billion, you get to join the Board of Peace, which it's not just about Gaza. It's also about Donald Trump saying that he's going to create another institution other than the United Nations, and he wants Russia to be a major part of it. Russia and Belarus joining Donald Trump's Board of Peace. And this has been confirmed by all the Putin's people. We have the letter that Donald Trump sent to Lukashenko right here. And you give Donald Trump $1 billion. He takes your $1 billion and he puts it into a Qatari account. That's where all this oil money apparently from Venezuela is going, not to the United States Treasury, but to an account in Qatar. And that's how Donald Trump is spending his morning. We then found out from the Prime Minister of Norway, what this was all about as well. The Prime Minister of Norway says, I can confirm that this is a text message that I received yesterday afternoon from Donald Trump. It came in response to a short text message from me to Donald Trump sent earlier on the same day on behalf of myself and the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb. In our message to Trump, we conveyed our position to his announced tariff increases against Norway, Finland, and a select other countries. We pointed to the need to de-escalate. So if you want to see like what actually triggered Donald Trump, this is the message from Stubb from Finland and from the Prime Minister of Norway. This is what triggered Donald Trump. Dear Mr. President, dear Donald, regarding transatlantic relations, regarding Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and your tariff announcement yesterday. You know our position on these issues. However, we believe that we should all work to calm the situation and de-escalate. So much is happening around us, and we need to stand together. We propose a call with you later today, with both of us or individually. Please give us a hint as to what you prefer. Best regards, Alex and Jonas. And in response to that message, Donald Trump wrote, because the Nobel Peace Prize was not awarded to me, I'm no longer going to focus on peace. And he goes, we need to stop Russia, so I need to control all of Greenland. And then he invites Russia and Belarus to become on his Board of Peace. As I mentioned before, and as we reported on the Midas Touch Network, Donald Trump became the first president to skip the Martin Luther King Day proclamation. The proclamation and the day was first announced by Ronald Reagan. You see Ronald Reagan signing MLK Day into law in November 1983, and all presidents would sign this, from George H.W. Bush signing it in 1992. Donald Trump, no acknowledgement of Martin Luther King Day. And look, the American people right now on Martin Luther King Day absolutely despise Donald Trump and this vile regime. I mean, take a look at a state like North Carolina that Donald Trump won in 2024. Donald Trump's disapproval in North Carolina, based on the TIP poll, the TIPP poll, which is an A-rated poll, Trump's approval is only 39%. His disapproval is 53%. That's how underwater Donald Trump is in North Carolina. And you look at the current Senate race right there, the Democratic candidate and former Governor Cooper is beating Whatley 48% to 24%, a wipeout in that race. Again, a state that went to Trump in 2024. Now, as Jay and Keeve writes, and you could just take a look at some of the polling, Donald Trump now has the lowest approval rating in U.S. history at the 1-year mark, even worse than Nixon. Donald Trump's overall approval rating right now is like as somewhere in the of independence is like 29% to 30s, and his overall approval rating is like 38% right now. Look at Trump approval independence for January. Depending on the poll, it's 29%, 29%. You don't get worse than this.
You know what's easier than fixing a problem?
All right, look, I don't know who need to hear this, but my man just tried that new 100 milligram generic Viagra for only 87 cents a pop from Friday
Get ready for work.
Not having the problem in the first place. Your liver is one of those organs that you don't think about until you have to. Supporting it daily is one of those small things that can make a huge difference in how you feel overall, and that's where Dose comes in. Dose for your liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement. This isn't just another capsule or powder. Dose is a liquid supplement. It's taken in a daily 2-ounce shot, and it tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. Here's why it matters. Your liver is your body's filter. It processes everything you consume and handles over 500 plus daily functions: energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. When your liver is overworked, you feel it. Dose helps cleanse the liver of unwanted stressors that may be slowing your liver down, and it promotes daily liver function so that your liver can do its job. 0 sugar, 0 junk, 0 calories. And when you take Dose daily, you're going to reduce sluggishness, get rid of those midday crashes, support your metabolism, and even aid your daily digestion. Plus, this is the real deal. There are 2 double-blind placebo-controlled studies showing Dose's positive impact on liver enzyme levels. Are you ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dosedaily.co/Midas or enter Midas to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/Midas, MEIDAS, for 35% off your first month subscription.
One of the things that independents and others people keep on discussing, not just the utter chaos, Trump's threats, Trump's invasions, Trump's wars around the world, which have been absolutely horrible, but the wars here in the United States as Trump unleashes his ICE Gestapo, the Trump invasions of Minneapolis, masked, armed people who are dressed in military fatigues, right, are invading our cities, disappearing people, killing people. In addition to Renee Nicole Good's murder, which the Department of Justice or Injustice refuses to investigate, ICE has now also announced its 6th confirmed detained death of 2026, and it's only January 18th. So by January 18th, ICE has killed 7 people, adding Renee Nicole Good. 6 people who were in detention centers by ICE died in these detention centers. And just every day there's more stories like this. Reuters capturing ICE breaking down a door, dragging a man out half naked into freezing cold St. Paul, Twin Cities. According to his sister-in-law, they returned him after realizing he's a naturalized U.S. citizen with no criminal record. Now, fortunately, Reuters was there to take the photo. That's how we know about this incident. But what about the countless thousands, tens of thousands of other situations where there are no photographs at all? Now, one of the things.
And I'm glad he said that too, not to come back in out of nowhere, because it's been proven too that they've been trying to cover up a lot of the abuse that they've been doing to people. A lot of the abuse. They even try to cover up a killing. They try to cover up a killing in one of the concentration camps. I'm glad he mentioned that. That's how far these motherfuckers are willing to go to keep this shit under fucking wraps, bro. That's how far they willing to go.
Things that the Department of Justice says it will be focused on is potentially going after Don Lemon. Don Lemon, an independent reporter who's become an independent reporter. He was at a church in St. Paul where there were protests there because one of the main leaders of that church also is an ICE officer. So Don Lemon reported from the church while there were protests inside the church. And now the DOJ says they're prosecuting everybody, and they're specifically now looking at Don Lemon for his reporting. Here's how the DOJ said it earlier this morning. Play this clip.
Imagine you have a bank robbery that's being planned by a number of criminals. They're crossing state lines, they're using the wires. And then a podcaster says, well, let me embed myself in here and come along for the ride and live stream the crime. That would not be protected by the First Amendment. And so it is a crime to disrupt and harass and make people in a church or any house of worship feel unsafe in this country. And when you're part of that planning and show up and ride along and laugh outside about and make commentary outside about how disrupting and putting people in.
So how's about we tell ICE agents to stop running into churches and places like that and snatching people up then? What's good for one should be good for the other. Stop the cap.
Fear is literally part of protest and part of the plan. We are not reaching conclusions now. Of course, everybody is entitled to the presumption of innocence. But if I were giving advice to a journalist about this, which I have done in the past, I would say do not participate in a crime act.
And then MAGA Republicans sent their sycophants on the various networks this morning on Martin Luther King Day to talk about how maybe Donald Trump should send in 1,500 paratroopers from the Army to further invade Minneapolis, in addition to the 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol officers who are already there. Let's play this clip.
Congressman, I know you said we need to get back to basics as a country. How would it help ease tensions, though, or improve the treatment of law enforcement there on the ground if these troops were sent in? Would that just not make a bad thing even worse?
I don't think so. I think we've seen the deployment of federal troops before, whether it was in Los Angeles or other places, as a safety net, as someone that comes in, as a group that comes in, once again, in full support of local and federal law enforcement and peacefulness. We want to make sure that these radical left-wing protesters who are going into churches, I felt so bad that lady got killed, but she hit that police officer, caused internal bleeding. That was just so wrong what she was doing. Whether you agree or disagree with law enforcement, you respect law enforcement and you listen to law enforcement. If an officer tells you to stop, you stop. Again, getting back to common sense basics, whether it's on the economy, whether it's on our ethics or our ethos, we've got to do that.
And what do you think your congressional role?
And I would be remiss in doing this video if I did not mention the DOJ's continued cover-up of the Epstein files. You know that we've been reporting on it every day, including we did a video on it this morning. But here's Pam Bondi talking about this was Pam Bondi when she was in the Senate being examined a few months back, and she refused to answer the basic questions. As we're now in day 31 or 32 of the DOJ's violation of the Epstein Transparency Act, right? They were supposed to turn over all files December 19th. I wanted to share this with you. Here, play this clip right here.
The rich, like the Americans are, see how greedy they are. They're even trying to shoot their friends or invade their friends just for greed. And we know that there's minerals and oils possibly in our underground, and that's worth so much more even than that. But even if we didn't have that, we would still not be bought. So everyone here knows about the Inuit in Alaska and all of the native tribes, Indians, American Indians who are there. Their land was taken from them and they haven't been treated that well in America. And we know that Trump is very much surrounding himself, at least with the white power people. And we are not white, as you can see. We are of color. And so we know our rights probably would be taken away. And we also know that we're very good as we are together.
And just, I want you to contrast that with two other things. One, this Greenlandic politician, Tilly Martinussen, who talks about, you don't understand us in Greenland. So you had Pam Bondi, as a leader in the DOJ. Compare that to a Greenlandic politician. Here, play this clip.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
With a brand new design that frees up even more pixels for personalization and an inventory of features to up your game at every level.
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Then I'll leave you with this. James Tallarico on Martin Luther King Day. Of course, he's the Democratic candidate running for Senate in Texas. Listen to what he says. Play it.
The worst politicians in America will be quoting Martin Luther King Jr. You can't quote "I have a dream" on MLK Day and then legislate against that dream every other day of the year. Dr. King described what he called the three evils: racism, poverty, and war. What would Dr. King say about 10 million children living in poverty in the wealthiest nation on earth? What would Dr. King say about a maternal mortality rate in Texas, which is 3 times higher for Black women? What would Dr. King say about a new American imperialism seeking to colonize Greenland and Venezuela? And what would Dr. King say about masked men in unmarked vehicles kidnapping people off of our streets? Dr. King dreamed of a world without racism, without poverty, without war. It's the dream that got him killed. And it's the dream that we must make a reality.
There you have it, folks. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million. We appreciate you and have a great day.
It's legit, yo. That's absolutely legit. Everything, that's the way you end a podcast. That shit was legit. I got to get up out of here. I got to go to work. If anything else really traumatic or crazy happens, I'll just go live from work. But on that note, y'all already know, man. Boricua's on the set. Smoked Out Society. We out, people.